66 million years ago, the Earth was warm, green, and crowded with life. Nothing alive that morning knew the sky was about to break. Somewhere out beyond Mars, a mountain of rock had been falling toward us for millions of years. It had no name, and no one was watching. It was roughly 10 kilometers wide. When its leading edge touched the sea, its top would still be higher than a cruising airliner. It was moving near 20 kilometers per second, about 20 times faster than a rifle bullet, carrying the energy of 100 million megatons. For the last 2 seconds of its journey, it punched a hole in the atmosphere. The air ahead of it glowed brighter than the sun. Then it struck a shallow sea off what we now call the Yucatan Peninsula, in a place no map, yet named Chicxulub. The water there was barely 100 meters deep. It vanished in an instant, and the rock kept going, straight into the crust beneath. It excavated a hole about 30 kilometers deep before the ground rebounded, splashing solid rock upward the way water splashes around a stone. When that motion finally settled, the crater measured roughly 180 kilometers across, with a ring of mountains standing at its center. Everything within 1,000 kilometers was already gone. But the local destruction was never the real problem. The problem was what went up. The impact threw thousands of cubic kilometers of pulverized rock above the atmosphere, on trajectories that arced clear across the entire planet. What goes up at those speeds comes back down. Within an hour, molten droplets of rock were falling into the sky worldwide. Each droplet released its heat as it re-entered. Across the globe, the sky itself began to glow like the inside of an oven. For animals thousands of kilometers away, on continents that felt no shaking, the danger arrived as light. There was nowhere to hide from the sky. Forest ignited. Charcoal from that single hour is preserved in rock layers on nearly every continent, a thin black line of burning. The ocean answered next. Waves hundreds of meters tall swept the Gulf coastline, and ripples the size of buildings were carved into the seafloor. But the true killer was not the fire, or the water, or the shaking. It was the rock the asteroid happened to hit. By pure chance, the target was rich in gypsum and limestone. The impact vaporized it into hundreds of gigatons of sulfur and carbon dioxide. Those sulfur aerosols spread through the upper atmosphere and stayed. Sunlight reaching the surface fell to a fraction of normal for years. The world went dark. Not the darkness of night, which ends, but a gray twilight that simply did not lift. In that dimness, photosynthesis faltered. Plankton in the surface ocean died first, and the food web standing on top of it collapsed from below. On land, plants withered. Global temperatures fell by as much as 10 degrees, and an impact winter settled over a planet built for warmth. A large animal is a magnificent thing when food is abundant, and a fatal design when it is not. The giants starved. Every dinosaur heavier than a few kilograms vanished. So did the flying pterosaurs, the great marine reptiles, and the coiled ammonites of the open sea. In total, about 75% of all species on Earth were erased. It took, at most, a few thousand years. Possibly far less. But extinction is never total. Life kept a strange guest list that day, and the survivors had almost nothing in common except modesty. Small things lived. Things that burrowed. Things that could eat seeds and dead leaves. Things that could wait out a very bad year underground. Fresh water fared better than the sea, cushioned by detritus that did not depend on sunlight. Crocodiles and turtles came through, and one lineage of small feathered dinosaurs survived, the toothless ones with beaks. We do not call them dinosaurs anymore. We call them birds. For a very long time, nobody knew any of this had happened. The extinction itself was obvious in the fossil record. Its cause was not. Then, in 1980, a geologist and his physicist father, studying a thin clay layer in Italy, found something that did not belong: iridium. Iridium is vanishingly rare in Earth's crust and common in asteroids. The same enriched layer turned up in Denmark, in New Zealand, everywhere they looked. They proposed the unthinkable: one impact, one day. For most of a decade, their colleagues considered the idea far too dramatic to be true. The missing piece was the crater. It had already been found, buried under a kilometer of sediment, by geophysicists quietly searching for oil. In 1991, the two halves of the story met, and Chicxulub stopped being a strange magnetic anomaly and became the scene of the crime. Drill cores later pulled from the crater's buried peak ring red like a timeline. Melted rock, then tsunami sand, then charcoal. All from one day. That single day ended 130 million years of dinosaur dominance. Within a few million years, mammals were quietly filling the empty world. Every mammal alive today, including you, descends from something small that survived the dark. Subscribe if you want more stories the Earth kept hidden.